Hello. Hello, Facebook. Hello, YouTube. Hello, folks who are watching on the replay, however it is you are watching this evening or later on. I am super glad that you're here. My name is Dallas Cohen, and I go by the Rebound Coach. This is week 2 of bringing you information to set you free, bringing you strategy to set you free and to make the difference that it will make extremely in your life. So I'm really glad to be here tonight. I'm glad that you're here with me. I will do my best to keep our time concise, although I have a lot to say. There's a lot in my mind, heart, and spirit about overcoming triggers and trauma, which is a kind of a heavy topic, but something that I think we all encounter, whether we've had a lot of trauma or a little bit. And no matter which areas of life our trauma might be in, it's important to master this. So if you are watching this right now going like, who is this lady and why should I listen to her about my trauma? I want to tell you a little bit about who I am. My name is Dallas Cohen. As I mentioned, they call me the Rebound Coach, but long before becoming that, I grew up in a Christian home with 2 parents that loved God. They loved each other. They were married for a lifetime and gave me a really good example of what it looked like to be married for a lifetime until my mother passed away. However, I was molested from age 8 to age 16. And that radically affects how you see yourself as a young person. For me, how I related to God growing up in a very strong faith-based home. And as a girl growing up, how I related to men. All of that was really affected. And fast forward, when I met the person I was going to marry, the person I married, there was definitely red flags there. But if you've ever heard about anyone who'd gone through sexual abuse as a child, typically they either are very promiscuous as a result of that, or they're very closed in, right? So I was the latter. I was the closed in version. So I didn't date much, and I didn't, I wasn't out there doing stuff. And when I did meet the man that I married, even though there were red flags, I, number 1, believed that God was with us. I, number 2, believed that whatever trouble came, we would be able to withstand it. Well, trouble came right away. I kind of clocked that at 15 days in. Trouble came, and it never really went away. It would kind of go into the background and come back with a vengeance. In some sort of crisis, like we'd be okay for a while and then something big would blow up, and then we'd be okay for a while and something big would blow up. And the blow ups came, not that they were more frequent, but they were worse and worse as the years went on. And eventually things came to a very cataclysmic perfect storm, so to speak. In January of 2020, my former husband left me for another woman. And I found out maybe a day or so later that him and that woman had been plotting my murder for months. And people go like, oh my gosh. And that, needless to say, that was a grinding halt to everything I had going on. A very scary time. I can't say that I was completely blindsided, because he had kind of had rumblings of wanting me dead for some years. I didn't think he'd ever try and take action on it. But this person he had gotten himself involved with was all about that. So needless to say, it was a pretty pivotal time, a pretty crisis time in my life. And I had a choice, really. I had a choice. I was completely threatened as a person, as a woman, as a wife and a mom, as a child of God, but also as a coach. I had been coaching. I've been the Rebound Coach. I've been coaching several years by that time, about 7 years by that time total. No, not so. Anyway, I've been coaching a long time by then, and I've been coaching relationships, specifically faith-based marriages, for about 5 years at that point. And I had learned how to navigate a really difficult marriage, a really difficult relationship. I was very committed, and I was helping other women do that, no matter what they were facing in their relationships or marriage. And so, if you can imagine having kind of all your eggs in one basket, your all of your identity and your worth and your vision and your purpose all tied to this one idea, and having that crumble and just be on the floor in front of you. I had a choice. I could allow the literal death that my husband at the time had planned for me, to tell me who I was. I could allow his betrayal to define who I was, or I could choose life. So, out of that whole situation, I wrote my second book. It's over here. It's called I Choose Life: Rewrite Your Love Story and Change Your Legacy. And when I talk about love story, I'm not necessarily talking about romance, although it definitely comes into play. I'm referring to how you learned to love and how you learned to be loved, because that is what makes the difference for us. Um, how we learn to express love, how we learn to receive love, or if we learn to receive love. Very often, I serve a lot of women who haven't learned how to receive love, not love from themselves, not love from their God, and not love from their loved ones. And they might say, yeah, I know somebody, so and so loves me. I know my kids love me. I know my husband loves me. Like, they know it here, but they can't feel it here. And so tonight, we're going to talk about some of the things that not just I wrote about in the book, but some things that people deal with all the time, and about triggers and trauma and how to overcome that and how to make your triggers powerless. But you can pick up this book, and if you have ever experienced abuse of any kind, childhood abuse, physical, sexual, financial, emotional, spiritual abuse. Yes, spiritual abuse is a thing. We don't talk about that. That's a thing. If you have experienced any of that, I highly recommend that you get this book. It's going to rock your world, and it's called I Choose Life. You can find out more information at thereboundcoach.com. And yes, I'm getting fancy over here. Thank you for the heart. Thereboundcoach.com/book, or when you go right to that first page, thereboundcoach.com, it says I Choose Life, and you just click on the button. It takes you right there. You can get this from Amazon, or I can sign a personalized copy for you and mail it out. So I want to tell you about that. And for you who are listening, I really appreciate you coming on. I am on StreamYard. I'm using StreamYard today. So not the same as what I was using before. So, but I can see your comments if you allow StreamYard to have access to your comments. So I would love for you to interact with me so I can know who it is, since I can't see you. Oh, I see. It says Trisha and Belle. Hi, Trisha and Belle. Okay. I'm getting fancy, y'all. It's helping me see who's here. So, all right. So triggers and trauma, and what's the deal? Okay. So I write in the book about my entire experience, and I don't start with, hey, Trisha, thanks for popping in. I don't start with the abusive marriage, because oftentimes, not all the time, but oftentimes, when women are being abused as adults, it didn't start there. It's not their first abuse. It might be their first kind, like this, but it's not their first. So I start talking about the childhood sexual abuse, and I tell the story, like, not just, you're kind of walking with me through life. It is pretty serious, but if you've experienced anything like that, you'll definitely resonate. And I tell the story about Baker acting. My former husband is mentally ill. And so we had instances with police that weren't so great. And I have kind of a PTSD, so to speak, with certain kinds of knocks on the door. And so I talk about in here several instances with the police or with CPS or with different authorities, and some of my experiences with them. Really scary things. Really scary things. I had someone that I had to trespass from my home because they were threatening to knock my windows down and break my door in, and just really scary things. And so if you've ever been in that level of, oh my gosh, I don't know how I'm gonna make it right now. I write about, I'm trying to tell you without, making the story forever long. But I write in the book about a really crisis situation where my former husband was in the mental hospital, but they weren't, he wasn't being compliant. And so when I thought that the trauma had left my home, it hadn't, right? Because he was calling and having to deal with that. What I thought I was going to get an evening reprieve, it was a couple hours, and it was really a scary time. And so after that, so we survived the evening or series of evenings, right? So we lived through that, but still, when I get certain kinds of knocks, it's a chill still runs through my spine, right? I'm still thinking about, oh man, like it takes me there. And so if you ever had an experience like that, you have a trigger. that's trigger. And if you can put in the comments if you've ever experienced that, not necessarily a knock on the door, but if there's a certain kind of trigger or a song. Yes, Belle, she says, I understand the knocks on the door. And the police have a certain kind of knock. They're not like friendly. They're like bam, 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 bam. Not because like they weren't trying to find a criminal. So many triggers. Thank you, Trisha. Yeah. So when it kind of gets you in a tailspin and you don't feel in control of your emotions anymore, or you don't feel in control, period, like something took over and I don't know what it is, right? That's how we know that we're in a trigger. I was sitting with a woman who was telling me essentially about her abusive relationship. And she's talking about how powerful she wants to feel and how healed she wants to become. And a song comes on in the background. Now, like, we're sitting across the table, we're eating together. I don't even hear it in the back. I don't even hear it. It's background noise. And she just immediately tenses up and just goes, oh, I wish they would just play a different song. And I'm just looking at her like, breathe, honey. Like, he's not here. He's not here. It's just you and I are here. We're just having a conversation. It's just a song, right? But the song took her somewhere and it reminded her of something. And I have those too, songs. Oh my gosh. Songs are emotional like that intentionally, like they take us places. So definitely songs or clothes or certain smells sometimes can take you places. Like your brain remembers things that we don't even pick up, right? In the conscious realm, a song or a smell or a color or a sound that freezes with the memory. And it's normally something we don't want to remember. Okay. Generally, when we talk about triggers and trauma, we're talking about things I don't want to remember. It's coming up, but I don't want it to come up. Right. So it's another big way to know if you're dealing with a trigger is signs in your body. So there were certain times of the year, and even after my whole crisis happened, I still had to trace times in the year when my body was just start feeling a certain way. For women, our feminine flow can misbehave at certain times of the year related to trauma. And that's not necessarily, you're triggered by the season. You're triggered by the season, and it's not an external trigger like a knock on the door or a song. It's an internal trigger. Your body knows this was the time of year where something happened, right? So if you lost a loved one at a certain time of year, or there was an accident, or there was a divorce, there was some major trauma, your body remembers that and something happens, right? So for some, I used to get really, really depressed, like horribly depressed at a certain time of year. And I had to time it. And this was growing up. So this was before what you read about in the book, before that happened. Um, um, and I started to time it. And I mean like horribly suicidal depressed. Like I'm mad at the world's mad at me, I don't want to get up, I don't want to do anything. Now I got up and did things. Okay, so there are those who have depression, and that depression, they stay in bed, for weeks at a time. They don't eat, they can't leave the house. And there's people who high function, right? So I was one of those. I was depressed, I was suicidal, I was very just angry and anxious and just all the things. But I was doing my daily routine, whatever that was at the time, getting up and going to school, and doing my homework. And if I had extracurriculars, I would do those. There's people who just function like they're high functioning people. um Fall is the heaviest season. Okay, yeah, I timed it out after a while, and I was like, man, this is happening every 6 months. It was happening every 6 months, like clockwork, where suddenly, the whole world was coming down. Sometimes people feel that way before their period comes on for women. Hormonally, it can be like that. But right now, we're specifically talking about tying to trauma. And so, Belle, you'd want to be thinking about, all right, what happened in the fall, or what series of events. Sometimes it's not like one time. It is, this Thanksgiving that happened, and that Christmas that happened, and that November that happened. Like, it can be over a series of time, and your body just feels a certain way. And we talk about this societally around Christmas time, where people get sad and depressed if they lost a loved one, or things are different now and around their family gatherings, and there's depression. It's so common. We see commercials and stuff about it. So that's it's very serious. If your body is responding a certain way, pay attention, listen to your body. It doesn't mean like fall down under the trauma, like, oh, I can't deal. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying just notice. Just notice and pay attention. So also, if you're suddenly angry or depressed or scared, for no apparent reason, like we don't know why. And sometimes it's like a big deal, like you're very depressed, and sometimes it's just like like you're just sighing a lot. Or in your interactions with family members, if you're married, your spouse or your kids, you find yourself getting upset over things that shouldn't upset you. Like, it doesn't make sense. I had my kids. Okay, so when I was growing up, I'm not a thin woman yet. I've never been thin. So I grew up fat. I was a fat kid. And my parents did everything they could to try and help me be healthy. That's their job. They're doing it. They did the best they could with what they had, and no shade to my parents. But they used to guilt trip me at mealtime. Like, we all eat together as a family, and whatever was on my plate, that's a lot of food, right? They'd stare me down, put half of that back. Or like, you're gonna eat all that? Like, there'd be so much commentary. And I'd be ashamed, I'd be embarrassed. It would just not be fun for me. And so as an adult, I'm like, I'm grown, I eat what I want, can't nobody say nothing, right? Okay. But then now I'm a mom, and my kids are watching me fix my plate and their plate. Now look, they are little girls, they're watching their mom cook. This is normal childhood activity. There's no reason to be upset over this. But what I am taking on when I see four little eyes watching me cook and four little eyes watching me fix plates, I hear in subconscious my parents, you're gonna eat all that? That's a lot of food. You're gonna be fat. All the embarrassment and all the shame, all of that present. So I look at my kids, don't look at me. Go over there and do something. I'll call you when dinner's ready. That's a trigger. Now, who's suffering under that trigger? The kids are. The kids are. They just want to watch. They just want to watch mommy cook. They do not have the judgments that I am hearing. Those are not present voices. Those are past voices I happen to be replaying, right? And they're the collateral damage because they just want to watch mommy cook and bond. And it's so simple. It's so simple. And we complicate things. So what happens when we don't overcome the trauma? That's one of the things. The people that we love are the sufferers. It's not just us. We suffer, but we cope, and we're sometimes blinded by the way that we're coping. We don't see that it's a coping strategy. For us, this is normal operating. we're just going along. We're doing our normal thing. But our family, our friends, our loved ones, those who are close with us can see like, man, this is a busted system. And for kids, they don't know the difference one way or the other. So they adopt our coping as normal. Like, this is the way to live. Don't look at me. Don't look at me. Emotionally heavy. Yeah. Yeah. For fall. But absolutely, like, they pick up our dysfunction as normal. And that's like, they take that as, this is the way I should be living. This is the way I should be, doing stuff. And it's really sad. And it's something that, as conscious adults who are in their own personal development, they would need to undo. And some of this, no guilt tripping the parents. I believe most of us are doing the very best we can with what we have. But if we're together today, we have an opportunity to parent ourselves in a way that positively impacts the next generation, where we say, you know what, you can look all you want. In my situation, you can look all you want, and come over here, let me show you how, and it's okay. And if I'm making poor food choices that I'm feeding myself and feeding my family, taking responsibility for that and say, you know what, not only is it okay for you to look, I need to be looking a little more carefully and making decisions that are good for us, and not just what I'm used to. There's a really important thing. So often when we're in these cycles, if we've experienced trauma and we're doing the coping dance and we're just, making it the best way we can, there's so much that we don't pay attention to because we don't want to see it. Triggers are problems because we don't want to face whatever it's triggering, right? And so we cover that up, and we kind of go like the little kids go, la 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 la. I can't hear you. I can't see you. La la la. Right? Like we're kind of blocking things out, and that only stunts ourselves. It only stunts our own growth. He says our brains and bodies remind us of our wounds. Yes, so we can heal if we're aware. Absolutely, I'm going to put that up. Absolutely true. We can only see it if we're aware of it. You cannot conquer what you don't confront, and we can't confront what we don't identify. I learned that from a famous preacher some years back. So what do we do? And identifying is the very first step. So just like Belle said, how do we know what our triggers are? What in the world is making you so mad, sweetheart? What is making you upset? Often, and I don't want you to search in like the deep depths of whatever. I want you to look at your daily activity. It's if you're on Eastern time like me and you're live here with us today, it's about 10 p.m. almost. So on Eastern time, this is where I am. So think about your day. Think about your day today. First of all, I missed my kids. Today was the first day of school, and they were gone for like a whole hour and a half. And I was like, shoot, I miss my babies. So that was number one. But think about, even after I missed them all day, how did I treat myself today? How did I interact, at work today? How did I interact with my kids once I did see them? How did dinner get on the table? Those kind of things. Think through that. Think through your everyday flare-ups. Okay, that's what we're going to call that. Your everyday flare-ups, and go, what is it that I am getting upset about? and then ask why until you get to the bottom. Why did that bug me? Because I wish she would. Why do you wish she would? Just keep going down, keep going down, keep going down until you get to the answer as to what you're upset about. Well, I don't like them looking at me cook because it reminds me of my parents who used to shame me for what I ate, right? And so, all right, well, are you ashamed of what you're eating? Right? Like keep going deeper. And for me, I'm like, man, well, maybe I am ashamed of how much I'm putting on the plate. Or, I'm not choosing a healthy meal. I'm choosing a convenience meal, right? My kids are watching that and I'm ashamed. So the next question is, all right, we got to that answer. What are you going to do about it? Okay, what are we going to do about this now? How are we going to change the path and change the story? And so the number one thing to do in overcoming your triggers is identify the underlying message. Number two is to counteract. Sometimes, so in the example that I've been giving you, it's kind of a practical answer. The answer would be to change the habits. Do something you're not ashamed of. Let your kids see something you're not ashamed of and celebrate instead of hide, right? The internal work, sometimes it's not so black and white like that. Sometimes it's, I'm scared of this thing happening because it happened before, right? Whatever that might be. Speaking the opposite and speaking the word of God, for those of you who come from the same line of faith that I do, speaking the word of God counteracts. Faith come by hearing and hearing by the word. So not just like the Bible word that we hear, but our words that we hear. Faith is believing in things that you don't see. So you can believe what you're saying in your mind, even though you don't see that, right? And the trouble with believing lies that we don't see is that we act on those and we create that reality for ourselves, which is not good. And we're getting in this cycle. See, I told you it was bad. Look at this bad thing happening. Like it's a bad cycle. So the counteraction to that is speaking the opposite. I have a fabulous coach. I have lots of wonderful people in my life who pour wisdom into me. But one in particular would talk about he makes all things new. And so she gave this example of hearing negative chatter internally, hearing negative chatter and say, you know what? Yeah, that did happen, but he makes all things new. So in the example that I gave you, yeah, that's right. I was a fat kid and I made poor choices and I'm where I'm at because I made those poor choices, but he makes all things new. And that gives you the freedom. It gives me the freedom to make a new choice and change the identity. So I talk about in my book and in this I Choose Life movement, I talk about rewriting your story and changing your legacy. And that's not accidental, right? It doesn't come by happenstance. It comes by incremental changes to the good. Thanks, Trisha. I appreciate the love. It comes from intentional movement, and that talking is the intentional movement that you can make. So speaking the opposite and what the Bible calls taking thoughts captive actively, that helps move the change. Is it going to be 180-degree shift overnight? No, it won't. Will it magically disappear in a day? Probably not. It's probably going to be a walk. But the beautiful thing is you don't have to do that walk alone. I'm very excited. I get excited when I talk about that stuff because there are some fabulous opportunities that you and I can do that walk together. And you don't have to go through trauma alone. You don't have to heal from trauma alone. You don't have to experience triggers alone. You don't have to go into healing on your own. There's a community of women. There's a community of people willing to come alongside you. Step one is here, because this is going to this is going to bring perspective to you. This is going to bring freedom to you. There are activities in here. There's questions in here that help you process your own story. You're not just reading my story. You are walking in your own freedom. So this is where it starts. And number two, I am starting Reclaim group coaching, a group coaching program. So reclaim is just that. It's reclaiming territory in your relationship with yourself. If you have lived through, if you're a high achieving woman, right, you function really well, you do all the things, and you have lived through trauma of any kind, betrayal or abuse in any situation, self-abuse, relational abuse, childhood abuse, any of that, and you want to reclaim territory in your relationship with yourself, you need to join our Reclaim group. So I want to play you a testimony, and I'm getting so fancy. I'm so excited. I'm going to show you Desiree's story, what I didn't get to show you last week.
Hi, my name is Desiree, and I choose life. 3 months ago, before working with Dallas, I was stuck in my business. I had no confidence or trust in myself. My relationships were frustrating. I thought I could do it all on my own. I thought I could help myself, but I saw no change, and I was just stuck. Now, 3 months later, after working with Dallas, I'm moving forward with my business. I trust myself. I've learned to enjoy who God created me to be and not live my life based through accomplishments. My relationship with God is more aligned with who He is and who He wants me to be. My relationship with my parents and at work have improved. I am more confident in myself. I trust myself. So if you're like me, who thought you were Superwoman and could change and do everything on your own, but you're still the same and nothing is happening, you need Dallas. So please go to thereboundcoach.com right now and get in touch with her. Choose life right now, and she'll help you get through everything.
Okay, very cool. So if you would like to do that, oh, I'm trying to do this on the fly. Okay, so I want to put up the website. Here it is. One day I will be all the way smooth, but for now, take a minute to type it in. Okay. So if you want results like that, I am extremely, extremely proud of her. She has come a long way and is doing amazing, amazing things. So this is how you get a hold of me, calendly.com/Dallas Cohen. I would love to chat with you. We just do a few minutes over Zoom. I get to hear from you. I get to hear your story, see if we're fit, see if there's a way I can help you reclaim territory. We lose territory in our relationship with ourselves. Number one, by not paying attention to it at all, not being aware, not even knowing it's something we need to steward. Being the best stewards of relationships with family and friends and husbands and boyfriends and wannabe boyfriends, people we want to be our boyfriend, or people we want to be our husbands. And we're doing all sorts of things for people who are not invested in us. And we are so invested in them, so invested in all these other people in all these other directions, and not invested in ourselves, not even aware that that's something we need to be paying attention to. I lived that life, and baby, it sucks. It sucks. And it kills your future. It kills your future, and it misrepresents who you're supposed to be to the world, to your children, to the people watching. It misrepresents that. And so it's time to change that. It's time to reclaim territory in your relationship with yourself. And I am here to help you. So it's once a week, 1 hour once a week. We spend an hour here, or roughly. We spend some time here. We spend some time together where I get to hear from you face to face, or Zoom to Zoom, as close to face to face as we can be. And and we talk about that. So if you're ready for that, this is how you do it. Calendly.com/Dallas Cohen, or of course you can go to thereboundcoach.com and click on contact us. That will also do it. And the other way, okay, so we got one other special solution, which I'm really excited to tell you about. A way to overcome, one way, there's several ways, and we've talked about a few, to overcome our trauma and our triggers is to spend dedicated time doing that. So often we are so busy. And like I just talked to you about, spending our time and energy in 1,000 places except the places that matter. Guess what? You matter. You matter. Time with you matters. Quality time with you. When's the last time you spent quality time with yourself? And no, I'm not talking about scrolling for an hour on the toilet. That is not quality time. And I'm not talking about vegging out in front of YouTube or Netflix. That is also not quality time. I'm talking about quality time with yourself. You're not responsible for anyone else. There's nothing else on your agenda. Spending time with you and your creator, and not in church. Because if you're a mom and you're going to church, sometimes it's not fun. Just between you and me. We'll keep it a secret. Sometimes you're like gathering people and things, and you're bringing your people and your things to this building where you have to manage your people and your things for X number of hours, like keep them quiet and still and focused. And then you also try to learn something, and then you gather your people and things and you smile at other people like, I'm doing great. Like it's a whole thing, and you get home and you're tired from doing that thing. It was not rest. It was a thing. Okay. So, I don't know if anyone else experiences that. I'm just saying I've experienced that. Won't put you and your church experience on blast. I'll just say sometimes it's not quite restful. Or you're involved, you're, doing ministry and you're like overextended in volunteerism. That is also not restful. It may be fulfilling, but it is not restful. So I just want to invite you to a special gathering, a special gathering that we call Sanctuary. It's happening September 24th, 25th, and 26th in Clearwater Beach. And it's going to be amazing. So I want to tell you a little bit about that in this fabulous video.
יברכך אדוני וישמרך יאר אדוני פניו אליך ויונך יישא אדוני פניו אליך וישם לך שלום.
If the beach calls your name, like it does mine, Sanctuary is for you. If you are a helper, a worker, a mom, if you are a healer, if you work, yeah, for real, not responsible for another human being. I'm serious. This is so needed for so many of us. And it's an intimate gathering. There's only 10 people. only 10 women allowed in this event. This is not you're not a number. You're not a seminar attendee. Like, you're a guest in the sanctuary experience, intimate time with your God, intimate time with yourself, and you leave a new woman. So I just put the invitation out. I'd love to chat with you more about sanctuary and see if it's an experience that is for you this year. Again, you can reach me if you're watching me on socials. You can reach me through the way that you're watching right now, through the DMs, slide into my DMs, or of course the reboundcoach.com/sanctuary tells you all about that. The reboundcoach.com/sanctuary. There it is right there. We'll tell you all about the event, and you can schedule your chat with me just to see if it's a fit. If it's not, that's cool. I have other ways to come alongside you, or we can just continue to meet right here every week. So those are our fabulous ways that I can come alongside you and help you overcome your triggers and your trauma. We don't have to carry the heavy by ourselves for the rest of our lives. And there are lots of people that you're responsible for. And I also know what it's like to feel like you don't want to burden those people with your needs. And the truth is, there's love and support around you that you've not been able to receive because of that thought and because of not wanting to be a burden. So there are solutions. Now, look, if you're watching this on the replay or if you're watching here today, you're one of three people. You're either like, thanks, but I'm good. I got this. My trauma is not really that bad. Okay. And you know what? If that's you, that's okay. I honor you exactly where you are. I understand. As a matter of fact, that was me at one point. I thought I had it all going on in a bag of chips and a bowl of grits. And yeah, it wasn't so great. But, if you're there, that's okay. That's cool. I respect you. Would love to continue to spend time with you right here each week. Number 2 person says, I just need to check into more. I need to find out what I need to do. I don't know. I have questions. In that case, let's be in touch. Of course, you can DM me, or you can go to thereboundcoach.com and click on contact us. I'd love to chat with you, see if there's a way we can connect. Also, I would recommend getting the I Choose Life book. It's a great place to start, find out, hear my heart, hear my story, and get a feel for who I am and what we're doing here in the I Choose Life movement, and see if it's something that's for you. And the third of you is like, yes, I'm all about it. Let's go. I'm tired of the trauma. I'm tired of the triggers. I'm ready for next. I'm ready to choose life. Let's go. Awesome. In that case, hit me up, thereboundcoach.com, click on contact us, and let's set up our strategy session. Let's set up our time where we're just a few minutes over Zoom. So I can, there it is right here, calendly.com/Dallas Cohen. It's like 20 minutes, no big deal. I just want to get to know you a little bit, and I want you to hear my heart, see how we are fit, see how I can come alongside you. If you're ready for sanctuary, thereboundcoach.com/sanctuary. There it is. I'll figure myself out. But that's what I have for this evening. I am so honored that you would spend some time with me. So honored that you'd come here with me today. If you have any questions, I'd love to hear them. You can DM me. You can put them here. Belle not responsible for another human being. Yeah, that would be amazing. I'm just offering a couple days. So would love to see you at Sanctuary. Would love to see you in our Reclaim groups. If you have any questions, let me know. And otherwise, have a fantastic week.